show you.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Hey everybody, welcome back to Wanna Play. My name is James McKenna, and today we'll be doing another top 10 list. Let's get straight into it, because we'll be doing a top 10 best Stephen King horror movie list. Coming in at number 10 is The Children of the Corn. I like how, well, one, they actually use real children and not people in their, 20s or 30s to portray the children. I like how they use real children, and I like how they were the killers, but then they were also the chasees. I like Isaac, the character, it's a good character, and the way that they sacrifice people by turning them basically into scarecrows and not really saying anything about it, not being scared at all whatsoever. And yeah, it takes place in an awesome setting as well, just an abandoned town with a massive cornfield around it, and they're just being chased around the town. It's a super cool movie and a super cool concept of just basically a group of, I guess, rejected children from this old abandoned town forming like a cult and sacrificing people to their god. And I like Malachi's face turn at the end, so that was pretty cool. Coming in at number 9 is one that I'm surprised myself isn't higher on the list, but it's Creepshow. Creepshow is an awesome movie with a couple of stories sprinkled throughout. You have Tom Atkins in the beginning, who's taking away his kids' horror comic books, but then we see a weird skeleton guy floating around who turns into an animation, and they basically get transported into the comics. It's a super cool, 4 or 5 stories in one movie. I like it how they did that. I like it how they combined it with the transitions as well. And Stephen King himself was in it, and one of the many Stephen King cameos that will be on this list. A lot of the stories were great. I found them all interesting as little shorts as themselves. And yeah, all around, Creepshow is a great and creative movie that earned its spot at number 9. At number 8 is Maximum Overdrive. For some reason, Stephen King likes trucks and cars killing people, but this is by far the stupidest but funniest example of that obsession sort of thing that we got. Maximum Overdrive is an awesome movie for all the wrong reasons. It's super funny, not intentionally funny, but it's just so bad that it's good, really. I love it because it's so dumb, and they're definitely trying to make it so bad that it's good, and it definitely succeeds. Another thing that boosted up points really is that it was scored by AC/DC and an actual original score. They really made new songs for this movie. The amount of trucks that they blew up, this movie itself probably caused global warming because they blew up so many trucks, as well as the no way street legal truck with the face on it in the front. They blew up an entire gas station. They just blew up a lot of stuff in this movie, like a lot of stuff, which makes for an awesome and hilarious movie that earns its spot on the list. But speaking of Stephen King vehicle obsession movies, number 7 is Christine. Christine is great for its characters as well as its storyline. You have the Stephen King, supernatural elements as Christine. The car is just going around killing people who wronged the owner, who for some reason I can't remember their name up right now. But yeah, it was an awesome movie. Christine getting her revenge on the bullies are some great scenes, as well as honestly one of the best jump scares in movie history. In my opinion, it's a great jump scare. Here you go. When I watched this movie for the first time, I did not expect to see that at all, and I like it how this movie didn't potentially cause global warming, so that boosted up points. And at number 6 is Cujo, the movie about a rabid dog going around killing people. Stephen King has a lot of diverse characters who go around killing people, but Cujo is one of the best. Cujo is basically, it's just a rabid dog. There's nothing supernatural about it at all, which is really weird for a Stephen King horror movie. But yeah, it's a dog who's just running around in the beginning chasing a rat. He gets his head stuck and gets bit by a rabid bat, and then goes around getting worse and worse, and I guess more killer throughout the movie. The dog acting was great, probably the best dog acting I've ever seen in a movie, which is insane because there's a lot of dog acting in movies. The kid, when he has his eyes rolled in the back of his head, it's very scary scenes right there. Once again, the characters are very good. Stephen King has a tendency of writing really good characters, as we'll see even later on. But yeah, Cujo is an awesome, scary story about a rabid dog who just kills people for the fun of it. And somehow 5 movies in, we're just getting to the first Stephen King movie about a writer. So number 5 is Misery. Misery is, once again, an awesome movie for its characters. Annie Wilkes is a really terrifying character to me, and the way she's portrayed as innocent and then just turns out to be an absolute psycho who's obsessed with the writer's books. Yeah, it's great. Misery is basically the book that the author is writing, and the author crashes his car, and Annie Wilkes rescues him because she's a doctor, and yeah, she nurses him back to health, but in the process, she reads the prototype of the next book that he's writing, where Misery, who's the main character of his book series, Misery dies, and Annie Wilkes is not a fan of that, so she goes absolute psycho mode and breaks his feet with a hammer. That's a gruesome scene in the film, and yeah, I like all the scenes where she's going out to town and the author, whose name I also can't remember right now, is just kind of snooping around the house, and the scene where Annie Wilkes pulls out the knife from under the bed and says, "Looking for this?" That's awesome. Very scary. Maybe the scariest movie on the list, but yeah, that was number 5, and it's Misery. Number 4 and number 3 were insanely difficult to decide from, but I decided to give number 4 to It, the 1990 miniseries. Once again, the characters are super memorable, which I guess is going to be what I'm going to be saying for the next every movie on the list. But yeah, Pennywise, played by Tim Curry, is one of the best performances I've seen in a horror movie. Maybe the best acted creature in horror movie history. It's an awesome performance by Tim Curry, as well as the rest of the cast. Great film, great miniseries from ABC back in the day. And yeah, the ending was weird. The ending of both It's were weird. But that doesn't take away from this movie. It's great. It's a great movie, and I like the suspense, and I like how it differs from the book in a way that honestly I feel like makes it better. But speaking of Pennywise the Dancing Clown, number 3 is It 2017, the most recent movie on the list. It 2017 is another one that's awesome. I feel like the characters are a bit more memorable in this one and a bit better acted than the 1991. That's why I just boosted it a little bit higher. I feel like Pennywise the Clown looks better in the 1990 miniseries, but this one is definitely scarier. The atmosphere surrounding it as basically the town of Derry, where nobody's, into it, nobody's helping anybody when they're getting, bullied and thrown around. And the fact that the characters, like the bully characters, are horrible people. Henry Bowers carves his name into Ben's stomach. And finally, this is one where I can remember the character names because it's just so good that I remember all of the main character names in this one, which is something that for some reason I can't do. I can't remember a lot of names, but this one is one where I can. So there you go. Number 2 and number 1 you probably already know by this point, but number 2 is Carrie. Carrie, as I explained before, is a great movie. I'd give it a 10 out of 10, as I also said before a couple of times. An awesome movie about a high school girl who gets bullied, who gets her revenge on her bulliers and as well as the rest of the school. She's getting bullied, and then she learns telekinesis. What happens is her God-fearing mother tries to stop her from going to the prom, and she shoves her down a couple times with her telekinesis. She does go to the prom, and what happens is the bullies rig it so she wins prom king and queen with her boyfriend, I guess, with her date, I should say. And what happens is they rig it, and then they dump pig's blood over Carrie. And yeah, makes her pretty mad. She goes psycho, locks all the doors, and basically kills everybody. It's a great movie. The movie with probably the best score in any Stephen King movie. The score really makes this movie so much better than it would be. Without the music in the background, I would not like it nearly as much as I would if it didn't have it. But coming in at number 1 is so obvious that I basically shouldn't even have to mention it, because number 1 is Trucks. No, it isn't. It's The Shining. Obviously, why wouldn't it be? Shining is the best movie ever made, period, in my opinion. It doesn't matter what the genre is, what the subgenre is. Shining is always number 1. Stanley Kubrick took the source material of Stephen King's book and completely made it his own. Once again, the characters are super memorable in this, and although Stanley Kubrick wasn't a nice director at all, I mean, he basically bullied Shelley Duvall the entire time and made them do 100 takes on multiple scenes. It's a great movie. I think maybe he shouldn't have bullied any of his actors or actresses, but I think it definitely paid off in the end and made the best movie ever made. Number 1 has to go to The Shining. Jack Torrance is such an iconic character with so many awesome lines. It's great. It's everything you need to make a true classic. So number 1 is The Shining. Thanks for watching my ranking of the top 10 best Stephen King movies. Stephen King is one of the most diverse horror writers of all time, writing horror books about killer dogs, killer clowns from outer space, killer cars, and just a bunch of weird shape-shifting things. Stephen King is one of the best, if not the best, horror writer of all time, and his movies are very reminiscent of that. A lot of them can be classified as some of the best of all time, and it's almost like Stephen King has his own subgenre of horror now. So yeah, that was my top 10 ranking of the best Stephen King horror movies of all time. Just horror movies, not, stuff like Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile, because, this is a horror channel, what are you gonna do? But yeah, thank you for watching my top 10 best Stephen King horror movies. Be sure to leave your ranking of the 10 best in the comments below. So thank you for watching, goodbye, and good night. Bang!